Hey guys, Andrew Marsh here with DrewFit. I want to thank you for tuning in. Today I'm going to do a video on full day of eating. I've been getting a lot of questions on what my diet looks like nowadays, what my caloric intake is, and what my macros look like. And I want to be clear that this changes based upon my specific goals and what my activity levels look like, and so will yours. So the numbers that I'm sharing with you could be substantially different to what you are doing because, we're all different shapes and sizes. Our activity levels are substantially different, and stress levels as well play a key role into caloric intake and how you're able to utilize the calories that you're consuming. So I want to make that very clear off the bat. But to begin with, I do change my diet a few times throughout the year, whether I'm in a caloric surplus to put on more body mass, or if it's going to be summertime, usually I'll put myself in a deficit for about a month tops. Anything more than that, I notice messes with me hormonally, digestively, sleep quality goes down. So I'm not usually in a deficit for most of the year. Majority of the time I will be in a maintenance, like right now, because I do like being around 200, 205 pounds. So that's what I'm sticking with right now. And what my numbers look like when I'm in a caloric surplus, trying to put on some body mass, it'll be about 3,200 calories. When I'm in maintenance, it's about 2,800 to 3,000 calories. Again, that's going to be directly correlated to what my activity levels look like. Am I walking a lot? Am I lifting, 4 times a week compared to 2 or 3 times a week? And if I'm in a deficit, that'll be around 24 is about the lowest I will go for a caloric deficit. That's when I start to notice some pretty negative effects. If I go too long in a deficit, that's especially below about 2,400 calories. So I don't do anything extreme like that anymore. But again, that's not to say that your numbers could be substantially different. Now, what my macros look like specifically, I try to get at least 200, at least a gram for every pound of body weight that I have. So around 200 plus grams of protein. Usually I'll be around 200, 225 grams of protein seems to work pretty well for me. For carbohydrates, now I'm going to get into this a little bit later, but usually it's around 200 grams to upwards to 400 or even more, depending on if I train that day or if I didn't train that day. And then fats, I will try to keep around 100 grams per day. Now let's talk about carbohydrates and why mine fluctuate. I've been practicing carb backloading for about 8 years now, and it seems to work really well for me, keeping my carbohydrates pretty low for breakfast and lunch, and then on days that I train, really shoveling in the carbohydrates after about 5 or 6 p.m. And on days that I don't train, I like to keep my carbohydrates around 200 grams, and then I will increase more protein and some more fat. Usually that will be coming from more eggs in the evening time. But on days that I train, I'll be eating a lot more starchy carbohydrates like potatoes, rice, things like that. So to give you guys kind of a sample day, because my diet is pretty consistent with the types of foods that I eat, to give you guys an idea of what a sample day looks like for me, usually around like 6 or 7 o'clock at the very latest, my breakfast will be about 4 to 6 eggs, probably 2 to 3 sausage links, a glass of milk, and when I'm in a surplus, I'll probably be drinking full fat milk from the brand Kalana is my favorite. If I'm in a maintenance or a caloric deficit, then I will be drinking powdered fat-free milk. Seems to work really well. Usually I'll throw a scoop of gelatin or collagen in my milk, give it kind of a protein milk, get more calories there. And then I will have a carbohydrate source. Usually it's like a half of an orange or a half of a banana. Kind of keeping my carbs for breakfast around 20 to 30 grams at the very most. And then about a half hour later, I will have coffee, and I will put usually gelatin or collagen in my coffee to get some more protein. I'll mix it with full fat cream, and usually I'll put a little bit of maple syrup or honey, but I make sure not to go over a tablespoon, 2 tablespoons at the very most. And again, this is going to be dependent on what my specific goal is at the time. And then I'll wait a couple hours before lunch, usually around 11 in the morning or noon. Again, it's going to be kind of a high protein, higher kind of moderate fat and about 20 to 30 grams of carbohydrates for lunch, and usually that will consist of either beef or chicken. Throw in probably 4 eggs, make an omelet, put a slice of cheese in there. And to balance the calcium-phosphorus ratio, again, I'll have another glass of milk. Again, specific upon my goals. It'll either be full-fat milk if I'm in a surplus, or it'll be fat-free powdered milk if I'm in a maintenance or deficit. And then my carbohydrate source, again, will be either another half of a fruit, but not too many carbohydrates. And then at about 2 p.m., usually I like to work out around like 3:30 or 4 p.m. Around 2 p.m., I'll probably throw in a protein shake. And I'll show you guys what supplements I take and when I take them a little bit later. And then I'll work out, and then on days that I train is when I really shovel in a lot of carbohydrates. And usually that dinner can consist of, a burger and fry, steak and potato if I'm trying to eat a little bit cleaner, or a burrito bowl, or even a burrito from Chipotle. Get lots of rice on there, as well as lots of chicken or steak, a good quality protein source. And I also want to be aware of the Randall cycle to ensure that I am going to be burning carbohydrates and not throwing in too much fat when I'm consuming a lot of carbohydrates. So I try to keep my fats lower in the nighttime, unless it's a very low carb day for me. And then a couple hours after dinner, if I still haven't hit my caloric intake, which a lot of times I don't, I'll have a snack a little bit later, and usually it will be a carbohydrate snack on days that I train. If it's a day that I don't train, sometimes it'll be a few scoops of ice cream or orange juice or something like that. So essentially that's what my diet looks like. Now to jump into the supplements that I take. I don't take too many supplements. A couple that I take on a daily basis. Number one is to focus on micronutrients, getting all the minerals that I need, as well as some other components, is my own Shilajit that I came out with. And I'll drop a link below if you guys are interested in getting that. But I usually put that in my coffee, or I just mix it in warm water, or I just take the capsules, like 3 of them every day with a glass of milk, if you don't like the taste of it. But like I said, that's to focus primarily on micronutrients that I may not be getting just through diet alone, and that seems to help really well. And then for protein shakes, if I'm going to do a snack in between meals or my post-workout shake, I will always be using whey protein isolate from Blue Bonnet. Is a great brand, and I will throw in about 5 grams of creatine monohydrate. And that's really all the supplements I take currently on a consistent daily basis. And one more thing I want to make clear before I end this is you heard my numbers and what I do. And like I said before, we all are different individually. We all have different activity throughout the day and different goals we want to achieve. So what you need to do is figure out what those specific numbers are going to look like for you when you're in a surplus, what your maintenance will look like, and what your deficit will look like. And I would also recommend not just jumping into a crazy caloric surplus or a crazy deficit, because if you do that, you may notice a substantial amount of fat gain or a substantial amount of muscle loss if you're in a deficit that's too extreme right off the bat. So take it slow, figure out your numbers. A great app that helps you identify what these numbers are directly related to your specific goals is Lane Norton's app, Carb Diet Coach. Fantastic. Even if you get it for a month, it's like $10 for a month. It gives you a really good idea on how to achieve your goals and what those numbers are going to look like. So I hope this helps you guys. If you have any questions or comments, drop them below. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram. That's Drew_fit. And also follow my supplement company, Alpha_Origins_supplements. And that's on Instagram. I'll leave a link below. So thank you guys. I hope this helps, and have a good day.